Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to ETL QA Labs. So today I have come up with very important set of test cases that we write as part of our ETL automation framework, right? And this is going to be the test cases which you can actually implement in your existing framework. All right. So what we will do is we will look at some of the test cases which are very common and you can probably implement in any of the test automation framework. Okay. So let's look at it. What are those test cases and where do we first actually apply these data quality test cases, right? So what I call is data DQ test, right? DQ test cases. So where we apply, we can actually apply at source, right? Source also, because sometime we might need to check whether the sources that we are getting is having the efficient or we have the proper data quality, isn't it? Like what if your source data itself is very much corrupted, right? Then you can actually not expect your ETL process to be working as efficiently as it is, right? So that's the reason sometimes we apply at the source. And also it is very important sometimes, like let's say we can apply but we do not have, majority of the time we do not have any control over the source system, right? So it is always advisable to apply them on the target system, guys, right? So target system where we have all this, we can actually apply this data quality test cases. So let's focus it on, and we assume today for this session we have let's say my target is one of the file which is getting generated, let's say customer.csv file. Okay, and this particular file is having some of the columns. Okay, so customer related information is there, and now what I want to do, I want to check whether couple of test cases. Okay, so these are the DQ tests basically that I'm going to write here, and we will be actually coding it, and then we can see that how they are getting executed, right? If there is any wrong thing in the customer, how the test cases are failing and all those things, right? So we will be writing the first test case. Let's say test case number A, we will be basically checking some of the null values. Okay, because some of the critical fields where we cannot afford to have the null, right? So I will say null value for key columns, right? Key columns are key fields in my target, for example. Okay, so there should not be any null. If there are null found in those columns in target, then our test case should fail basically. Okay, this is the first test case. Second test case is basically the duplicate check, right? So again, there are few columns where we cannot expect the duplicates, right? Duplicate check. For example, we have the customer ID, isn't it? In the customer table, customer ID. Do you think that the customer ID should be duplicate in the customer table? No, right? It cannot be duplicate, right? So this is what, if I find there is any duplicate, because see, we are not talking about database integrity, we are talking about CSV file which is there, the target, and there is quite possibility that we can have the duplication in our files, because we cannot actually enforce the rules that we enforce in the SQL, right? Because in SQL we can actually say we define this particular column as a unique constraint, right? Then our primary key constraint, then you don't need to basically worry about it. But here the source system, the target system itself is basically file, and there is no such kind of constraint we can enforce on it, right? So we will check duplicate check on some of the columns basically. Okay, now we can extend it as many as column you want, but yes. Now the second thing, the last test case that we are going to write here is basically we want to check whether the customer means the whole data set which is there, let's say in this particular file, some of the countries data I am not expecting, right? So I will say customer um, customer from a specific country, right? Country not allowed, right? To be in, right? So this kind of check I should check. So in actually what I should check, I should check whether or not the customers are allowed, or any customer is available in my target from a specific country, for example China, right? So I don't need people from China in my, as my customer, right? This is, let's say, because I'm not doing any business, right? Do we have any person from the China, let's say my customer, right? So that is wrong actually. So these are the three tests that we are going to write it. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me directly go to our PyCharm, and that's where we are going to write the test cases, and I'll show you the test data as well. Okay, and once we complete the test cases, I'll run it and show you, and after that we can also have the invalid data inserted and then see that how the test cases are failing, right? This is the whole thing that we want to do, right? So hopefully these three test cases are making sense, and we will actually go and code this. Okay, so we are going to use the Pytest framework, right? That is actually the unit testing framework of pandas, Python, and we are going to design all these test cases using that. Yeah, so let's go here and I'll show you this particular file here. So this is my file already. Okay, this is my customer.csv file, and I have these columns: customer ID, name, age, email, start date, end date, and country. All right, so this is basically the customer information that I have quite a good amount of data, like 19 records actually, including that header 20, right? So 19 record, and let's basically write all these test cases that we have actually discussed, three different type of test cases. Okay, so for that I'll just go and create a test case here. Okay, so the test file, I'll say test, I will say dq data quality customer. Okay, I'm going to perform the data quality check on the customer. All right, this is what is my test case. Okay, let's try to basically write it. Let me do one thing. I'll just clear it basically here. Let me just clear it first here. Okay, all right. Now let's write it. Let's write our test case. So first of all, we are going to read this particular file using pandas, right? So let me write it first steps actually, right? So those three steps, right? So the test case number one, I said the null value check, and this time see, I have a lot many columns, right? I'm not going to check null on everything because there will be some columns where null is allowed basically, but what I want is, I don't want null to be allowed on certain columns. Okay, so let me write all those columns basically. Null value check on which all the columns, let me write it quickly so that we can actually refer it while coding as well, right? So can I say here, I don't want on the customer ID, because obviously I do not expect. Now name, right? We have name here. Okay, customer ID, name, and maybe email ID and country probably. Okay, email ID also I want some data, and country also I want some data actually. This is my requirement, right? So I can say here email and country. These four columns, I do not expect any null value. If there is any null value in this particular file for these columns, then I will fail the test cases. Okay, this is the first test case. Let me write the steps, and then we can actually write the actual code how it works, right? Now I will say duplicate check first of all, right? So duplicate check, in this case I do not expect the duplicate on the customer ID. Okay, only one column guys. Okay, I cannot expect here. Okay, no duplication, only one column. And third test case, what I said, the third test case is basically the customer should not be allowed from a specific country, right? So let's say I will say customer not available from from China. All right, let's say I will say China. So what I'm going to say, basically country China not allowed. Okay, this is what I'm going to say. Let's see how we write it. So three test cases. First of all, I have to just import pandas basically. Report pandas HPD. Okay, these are very important test cases guys, pay attention. Okay, and this video will be little longer obviously, because we have to write step by step, you can see here, right? And but make sure that you understand what I'm talking about here, right? So now this is the pandas, then I will also import pytest. Okay, import pytest. All right, chalo, let's write the first test case. And before that, what I can do, just can I just do one thing? Can I just read this file, isn't it? So can I read this file? So can I say df, like I can say data frame pd dot read underscore csv, and then I'll just say customer csv, customer.csv. This is where it is, right? I'm able to read this particular file where it is. This is the file. So this will read, and now on the data frame, I'm just going to write the test case. So let's write first test case. Def test underscore, I will say null value check. Simple name, okay, null value check, and I'm not passing any argument in this function. Okay, let's write this. Okay, let's write this, and we want to basically check that or probably what I can do, I think this is also fine. Let's try to run it actually first. Okay, so I will check first the customer, right? So what I will do, I will run multiple assertion, like multiple test cases, separate test cases on each of this column, right? So can I say assert, and I can say df hyphen customer id, right? Customer underscore id. I'm saying the customer id, okay, is not null. Okay, this is the function not null. Okay, and for all of them. Okay, so I'll show you. It will actually, if there is no null in this customer, then this will give you true actually. Okay, this is what this is going to return you. I will actually also run it on the Jupyter notebook, and I'll show you basically. Okay, so this is what actually, okay, assertion says. If this is um, true, then we are good, right? Test case will pass because there is no null in the customer ID. Otherwise, I will say customer ID. Let me write it. Customer ID contains null values. Okay, something like this. This is actually failing, right? It will fail and it will give you this message actually. Okay. All right. Let's try to basically write the same thing for other. I'll just copy paste it. See, because I just want to make it for other name, and then what is other one, email, and the last one is country. Perfect. Now test is same. Here I will change name. Here I'll say email, and then here I'll say country. Perfect. Same. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's go to let's copy this actually, this part. Okay, and let's go to pandas, sorry, Jupyter notebook, and I'll show you. So here is a file. No, let's try to actually try to run and see that what kind of output we are getting, right? So always use Jupyter notebook when you need to actually verify the test cases before running, right? So if I say import pandas as pd, okay, I imported it. Now if I just say, okay, one more line I can say here, maybe df equals pd dot read underscore csv, and then I'll say customer underscore id, sorry, customer dot csv. Okay, one second guys, just give me a second. Okay, let's run it, and then after that let me run this. Do you see? True. It is giving me true because it is checking everything. If one of the value is not null, in that case it will give me false actually. So let me do one thing. Let me try to quickly change one of the value here. Okay, let me just change it. So what I'm saying is null. Can I just say null in the customer, right? This is the one, right? Let's say I just made it null actually now. Okay, I removed it, right? This means actually I'm just making it null. Now let's try to run it. Again, read it, try to run it. Do you see? There is a false actually. So even if there is a single value, it will check everything is not null. Yes, then fine. This is pass, true. Otherwise it will be fail, right? And this is what is the behavior. Now, hopefully you got it. Now let's try and go back and see what exactly this test case will do. So it will check whether all the values in this fields are actually not null, which means there should not be any null, then everything will be passed actually. Okay, this is the simple test that we want to write. Now second test that I'm going to say, I can probably copy paste it actually, okay, and then I'll just change it. So what I'll say, def duplicate check, isn't it? Test duplicate, okay, duplicate customer ID, isn't it? Or you can just say duplicate check. This is fine because I can actually take other columns as well, right? So for the duplicate, can I just say that there is a function? Okay, let me just write it assertion. Okay, and here I will write it whole thing. Okay, so I'll say guys here. Okay, let it be. Now it says that there is function called duplicated. If you pass this thing, and inside that you can actually say that you want to say duplicate, but on which particular data set, right? So I can say subset equals, and this will actually take a list. Okay, sorry, this will take a list actually. uh, this will take list, and here I can pass which all the columns actually you want to check for the duplication. So based on customer ID, it will say it is actually duplicate. Okay, so this is what actually I want to run it. If I can just take this simply, okay, then I can go here and try to run it here. You will see that one second, this is fine, I guess. Yeah, was never closed. All right, so this need to be closed actually. Okay, and this is saying that series got expected. Okay, subset. So what is this? Is it capital S? Maybe. One second. Why it is saying duplicated? And then I say I think it is fine. It should be small itself. It says subset equals and then customer ID. Okay. Okay, customer ID and okay guys. Okay, one second. So I think this should be closed as well. No, I think okay. No, no, no. This is fine, I guess, right? This is fine. Let's try to actually run it and see what happens. This is fine, right? So this is actually customer ID and everything. Here is null actually, but okay, duplicate I want to check actually. So can I say now here duplicated? Let's see what happens. So duplicated is false actually, so this is not duplicate actually, right? But I don't want to run the duplicate. I think this is fine. Okay, okay, this is fine actually. In this case, this is fine. What I want to do is I want to actually pass. Okay, you can write in this way as well. You can write in other way also. Okay, can I not write like this? DF duplicated and this subset, because here I'm not actually depending on a single column. I can actually pass multiple columns here. So can I say subset, other way of writing it, right? Subset, and then I can just say here what I want to pass. I want to pass actually customer ID. Okay, I'll show you what it means, right? Perfect, perfect. Let's try to write something like this, okay? And I will actually run it, then you will come to know, okay? Now this is not required, guys. You can actually just remove this because I am actually already providing this customer ID. So now I'm checking whether my customer ID is having any duplicate or not, right? So if this is the case, right, then what I want to do, I want to basically get not like this. Maybe I have to, one second. Okay, okay. What I have to do is I have to say duplicate data frame. Okay, duplicated data frame. Now if I can just take it actually and run it and show you basically. Okay, so I'll try to put some duplicate as well just for now because we want to test it, isn't it? So let me just try to put one here. Okay, now in this case it is duplicate, right? Because one and one, these two same, right? So this will be at least one duplicate is there, right? Let's try to basically read it again and try to. Okay, now let me run this. You see there is a true coming. Why? Because the second one is also a duplicate basically. So how can I get the all the duplicated basically from the data frame? I can see all the rows from data frame, something like this. Now we got it. So this is actually duplicate. Okay, so can I just say I will just take it and I will just place into this one here. So this is my data frame, duplicated data frame. Now, if it is not duplicate, then this particular data will not come even, right? This particular row will not come like this data frame. It will be empty, right? So what I want to check, I want to check that there should not be any, which means this one should be actually empty, isn't it? This data frame is empty. So I want to just check whether this particular data frame is empty or not, right? So can I say something like this? If it is empty, right, and then assert, I will just say assert here. Okay, assert. If it is duplicate, then I will say empty duplicate. I mean this data frame is empty, then I will say okay, there is no duplicate, and I will say it's all good. But otherwise I will say customer ID is duplicate. Okay, is having duplicates, something like this. Okay, I can just send it. Okay, all right. So these two test cases we are done actually, and now the third test case, what I say here is, let's come down here. Okay, let's look at this. Very important, right? Now we want to check that the country are not available. I mean the country like China should not be available, right? So in this case, if you look at it, there is no China, but I want to just make one country as China actually. Probably here I will say China so that I can test this, no? Because my test case should fail if China is there. So let's try to write how we can actually write this particular country. Okay. So can I just say here, I will again say, um, I will just run a assertion. Okay. So here, let me write it actually. Write it. Can I say just df and then I'll say country. I'm just showing you step by step. Okay. This is actually giving you. Now if I say here equals actually China, let's see what happens. Everything is false actually. Okay. Which means there is no China. But if you look at down, there will be one. 1 second. I have to read it again, I guess. Okay. Read it again. Let's try to run it. Now let's try to see what happens here. I think there should be one China here. See, row number 17, there is a China because we just inserted it, just seen, right? So we have a China. In this case, this test case should fail. So what I should do, I should basically go here and I should just again same way. I want to get that particular China. If China is there, and then the data frame. This is how I will get the data frame, like the record for the China one, right? This is how, right? So do you see? I get a China. If this is the case, and if I say if it is empty, right? And then if it is not empty, then I will say there is some like a China is already available, right? Isn't it? Same thing what we have done here. So same thing. Can I not just take it? Yes, I can do. I'll just go here and copy paste it same way. Let me write it actually. I'll just say here, can I say test uh, for test? What can I say? Hmm. Can I say uh, no customer, no customer from China, something like this? Okay, good. No check. This is like that, right? Now, if this is going to give me, okay, I think indentation problem. Let's make it right. Okay. So I'm saying if it is not like this particular China is coming, if it is not empty, then my assertion should actually fail, isn't it? So I'll say here, if it is not empty, if it is empty, which means there is no China, right? If it is not, then I will just say that China exists in the customer data, something like this. Please check it. I think this is what I wanted to do this time. Okay, let's try to see if everything runs fine. So these are the very small test cases, but very powerful test cases. Do you see that we are able to do it? You can extend it basically. You can actually extend it to some other column, this kind of check. Let's say you are expecting some other column to not have some data, right? That then you can actually expect this kind of things, right? This kind. And here duplicate actually on only customer, right? You can also expect on more than 2 columns or 3 columns or a single column, whatever. You can extend it. The idea here is just to give you idea, like you can actually do this kind of checks. These are the data quality checks, right? Very powerful, right? Especially when you have the huge output, right? Now let's try to run it and see how it works. So I'll say Pytest and what is that, test underscore dq. Let's try to run. Okay, 2 test cases failed. Okay, what is that actually? The customer ID is having duplicate. Very good. So customer ID is having duplicate, we already know, right? Because this is what it is actually. Let me just do one thing. Let me fix it. So I'll say here, that's why duplicate check fell on the customer ID, which is very right. We are expecting. Now, second one is China exists in the customer data, and this is also true. That's why I will go and actually correct it. China, I will just remove it China. Maybe I'll say India, maybe, right? Or UK, maybe. That's fine. Now my test cases should be passed. Okay, all the 3 test cases. But this time, I'm just going to use 2 more flag, hyphen s, hyphen v. Okay, just so that I'll get more details around it. Now all the test cases passed. Do you see? This is a test case check, null value check, test null value check, test duplicate check, test, no customer from China check, all of them are actually passed. Do you see? And this is what basically is the data quality risk. You can write for so many other columns, you can extend it however you want, but right now this is what I wanted to give you in this video. And if you have not implemented this kind of test cases in your test framework, automation framework, go and implement these test cases. These are very, very powerful test cases, right? Other than your extraction, transformation and loading, these are some data quality test cases, DQ checks, right, which are very, very important, right? Not only this, there could be a lot of other test cases, but I think I just wanted to give you some idea how you can actually implement this in your automation test framework. Okay, so that's all for this video, guys. I hope that this video really makes sense and it has added a good value in your knowledge, and I hope you progress well, and I'll see you soon with the next set of videos. And if you have not your first time visiting on this channel, please do subscribe, support and then comment. This channel is for help the people, right, for to give something back to the community. And also I have started the Python problem solving, guys, DSF round one. Basically that's where I have started some of the series, and I'll complete that series. But do watch, very interesting, because the coding is the first thing, right? Before they ask anything else, like any tool knowledge, any Selenium knowledge or anything like ETL testing, Pytest, whatever, right? They need to know how good you are in the coding, because the logic is something that prevails everywhere, right? So for that logic, developing logic, we have started the series, beautiful series on Python, right? Using various different kind of data structures. Uh, do check those videos. 3 4 videos already we have done, and we will continue to do that, and that is going to add a lot into your coding knowledge, coding journey. Okay, so I hope that you actually go and check them out, and do comment, do subscribe, and also suggest if you need anything. We'll try to accommodate you whatever best we can. All right, so until we meet next time, happy learning, god bless you, bye.